Hey all, and welcome to my vlog. My name is Erin, and this is how to write with chronic pain. So, what the heck is up with my body? It's kind of a fun mix of things, and so I'll start from the beginning and go through all of that, and then I will go through some of the ways that I still get to be productive. So when I was born, I had something called wry neck or torticollis. It's a twisted neck that kind of tilts to one side. And in my case, it was congenital. It was formed in the womb, so I had it right when I was born. It can go away without treatment, but it doesn't always. And if it's not treated, then you tend to have relapses throughout your life. Mine was not treated, so far as I'm aware. And for me, a relapse kind of feels like you have a blade from the base of your skull down into your shoulder, so any type of movement at all is extremely painful. I also have hypermobile joints, so it is very easy for me to hurt myself if I don't have the muscle strength to go along with it. When I was about 12, my lower back spasmed to the point that I could barely walk. I also took gymnastics as a child, and I definitely screwed up my wrist. I didn't know it at the time, and I didn't know anything at all about things like physiotherapy that would have mitigated a lot of this damage. And anytime I seemed to get hurt growing up, if it was in my arms, it was always this one. It's compounded minor injuries that just resulted in this being a little screwed up pretty much forever. Basically, the issue with it now is all the little bones in your wrist. I have one of them that will glide out with movement, but it will not glide back in, and so the tendons rub on it and get inflamed. Sometimes I can fix it myself, but in recent years it's gotten to the point where I need an actual professional chiropractor, physiotherapist, etc. to correct it for me. I also have a number of repetitive use injuries from my previous jobs. So in one of them I fell at work while shoveling, and guess what I landed on? This wrist. And because I couldn't use this arm for a while, I ended up overusing the other one, screwed up shoulder, elbows, wrist. And then at that point, it hurt so much I had to use my already injured arm, and then I ended up screwing up the shoulder and elbows on those ones too. And I also developed a repetitive use injury in my hips from another job where we were not allowed to use the elevators unless we had a client with us or we had a cart. And so it resulted in me climbing literally so many stairs that I injured myself, and it took like 2 years to heal. But all of those got so bad that I quite literally had to quit my career and completely change course. So that is why I left senior care. It was just too much for my body to handle. Once I got into insurance, I was able to rest a lot more. And then we had a car accident about 2.5 years ago, and I was like this close to being done with my physiotherapy and pretty much everything being like tolerable and good to go. And then that just undid everything, so that was fun. It also introduced a weird thing with my ribs where they like to pop out of place, and I cannot fix them myself. I have tried, so I have to always book in, get those put back. But if I can't get in right away, then the rib being out will unbalance my hips, unbalance my shoulders, which just creates a whole mess everywhere, and it's not fun. Also, when I was younger, I used to have very debilitating periods. It would be like 2 weeks of extreme PMS and then 10 days of cramps and bleeding. I have since got the hormonal IUD, and I am so happy. Oh my god, so happy with how that has altered everything. I know it's not for everyone, but I definitely recommend checking it out if you have not already. Probably the thing that messes me up the most in terms of interfering with my writing, besides my wrist flaring up, is referred pain headaches, which are basically anytime anything below here gets tightened up, it yanks on everything and it feels like my head's being crushed. So I have attended physiotherapy and massage and chiropractic for years to mitigate a lot of this, and it does help, and a lot of these are very much improved, but it's still a work in progress. So now that we've gone through that laundry list of what is wrong with me, let's move on to how I manage it to be productive. Number 1, stay hydrated. I know this is a very simple tip, but I am terrible at this. I am getting better. What I use for this to make sure that I can monitor my liquid intake is I'll just keep a 1 liter jar with a straw on my desk. So I know that if I finish that, I have done at least the barest minimum of hydrating myself. And it also helps because I don't have to get up to go get more very often. And so it's much easier for me to increase my liquid intake that way. Number 2, managing pain symptoms. So I have a whole treasure trove of items for this. I'm just gonna very quickly go over some of the tools that I use that I find very helpful. The first one is a roller. I use this on my arms. It really helps to loosen up the knots in my forearms so that the tendons aren't being pulled. You can use it literally anywhere on your body, but I've pretty much exclusively used it on my arms. I also have this beauty, which basically you put behind on the neck and very gently move it. And it works really well if you don't have access to a regular massage therapist or anyone else to help you with that, because it lets you work on the muscles without employing too many of the other ones and letting them get tight while you're working on it. I have the shepherd's hook too, which does basically the same thing. It lets you work out your shoulder knots without any assistance. The other very helpful thing is my roller. I have the 36-inch one because it is about the length of my spine, and it really helps to loosen up pretty much everything. I use it the parallel to the spine rather than the perpendicular curve one, which I do sometimes, but this one I feel like for writers especially, it really helps to loosen up this parts because you're always kind of hunching forward at your desk. I use all of those to work on the muscle knots so that there is a little bit less tension and a little bit less pain. Other item that is a godsend is a microwavable hot pack, but it has a strap. So you can put it on and walk around. It works really, really well. If my low back is stiff in the mornings, I can just pop it on and kind of go about my day. Also, for period cramps, oh my god, it is really nice to just strap around you and then you don't have to worry about it. It's just there and keeping you toasty. Number 3, find a painkiller that works for you. Not everyone can take painkillers, and not all painkillers are created equal. You kind of have to find one or some type of pain reduction method that works for you and your body. I don't generally like to take painkillers, and my pain tolerance is very high because I'm pretty much used to it all the time. But with the headaches especially, it is very difficult to focus through that, and so if I have to get work done, I will sometimes take a painkiller. Number 4, learn to be ambidextrous with your computer mouse. This seems like such a tiny thing, but it made a huge difference. So it took me about 3 days before my left arm just kind of picked it up. So now I can switch back and forth depending on which arm has more discomfort, and I don't aggravate the tendons in my hands or anything if I can just switch it over to a different arm. Number 5 is Pilates. If you have the funds for this and you can find a class that is small, I so recommend Pilates for building up your muscle strength. The classes that I attended were maximum 4 people, so you got a lot of individual attention from the instructors. Obviously that made it more expensive because there's less people that are getting money from, and so I wasn't able to continue to do it, but while I was doing it, I noticed it made a huge difference. Unfortunately, Pilates and that kind of stuff was not covered under my benefits the way that massage and CHIRO and physio are, so it was kind of, I had to stick primarily with those because I didn't have to pay for them out of pocket. But the classes are very helpful because they can tailor it if you are prone to injury, if you have limitations, etc. Also, restorative yoga is very different from regular yoga. It is very supported in all of the positions, and it was so relaxing and it didn't put any strain on my body. And so when I was able to do restorative yoga as well, it was super helpful. So that's something to consider as well. Number 6, if you have not already done so, massage, physiotherapy, chiropractic, all super helpful. If they are covered by benefits, even better. I was thankfully fully covered when I worked in insurance, so I was able to go a lot. I have partial coverage now that I am at home and on my husband's benefits. Number 7, stay warm. I find if I get cold, then everything kind of tightens up, and then that is a recipe for extra pain. So whether that is space heaters, sweaters, hot packs, whatever, do what you can to stay at a comfortable temperature. Number 8, plan ahead if you can. So for me, I know certain activities will trigger pain, like cleaning. Just the motions involved in cleaning really upset my arms. So if I know that I'm going to have to be cleaning or doing anything that will trigger my pain, I try to get my work done before that, or as much of it before that as I can, so that I don't have to worry and I can just let my body recover. Some days are bad and I can't really do anything, and that's okay. Let your body have the rest that it needs. Chronic pain sucks. Well, any kind of pain sucks, but it's kind of a fact of life for a lot of people, and you can't just stop everything. So I hope some of these tips are helpful if any of you are struggling with pain. Obviously, there is no magic cure, and so you kind of just do the best that you can. I'm still getting books written, so something's working. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. I hope it was helpful, and I will see you all next week with another video. Bye.